We begin the movie with Ray Francis, a respected war veteran who has just returned to his home country, eager to see his beloved, and our protagonist surprises his girlfriend in the park, who, when she sees him after a long time, throws herself into his arms and kisses him passionately. Kelly is expecting his return in the next few days, but Francis hides the truth to surprise her. At that moment, Francis kneels down to propose to her, and his girlfriend accepts without thinking twice. When they are about to get into the vehicle, Kelly remembers that she forgot her book, so the veteran goes back to get it. While he does, a group of guys in a sports car stop to harass her. They make several comments at her, and Francis returns while hearing the guys. Kelly asks them to leave, but the harassers keep bothering her. They say they will give him $1,000 if he lends them his girlfriend to have sex. Despite this, Francis stays calm. His patience ends when one of the young men pulls down his pants to show his member to his girlfriend. Completely enraged, the veteran beats them with humiliating ease. Tim pulls out a sharp weapon to gain an advantage, but he still ends up being taken down. When he hits the vehicle, the young man ends up stabbing himself with his own knife, dying within seconds from blood loss. Due to the circumstances and his military career, his lawyer tells him that he will end up in prison no matter that it was an accident. The best option is to plead guilty to reduce his sentence. Otherwise, they may give him 5 to 8 years in prison. Accepting his fate, the veteran says goodbye to his fiancée, apologizes to her, and promises that they will be together again in less than 18 months. On the other hand, we meet Tim's father, a powerful and wealthy man who always justified his son's whims. While he talks with his associates at the funeral, one of his men appears to ask him to speak in private. It turns out they obtained Francis's file, and they also share the location of the prison where he will be sent. Clinging to revenge, Harvey goes to the penitentiary to speak with the warden personally. Jack is a corrupt man who uses his power to control inmates and allow abuses inside the prison, something the billionaire takes advantage of to bribe him. Without hesitation, the warden asks him if he wants to kill Francis, to which Harvey responds that he doesn't, but he wants his stay in prison to be a living hell. When they are transferred to the prison, the guard Rico welcomes them, showing that he is one of the main abusers within the penitentiary system. He orders them to undress, and one of the youngest prisoners begins to cry, so the guard starts mocking him. Francis asks him to stop. He is only a teenager. Because of his intervention, he hits his intimate parts with his baton, making it clear that he is simply an inmate. The only thing they have to do is obey orders. As he resumes the inspection, Rico continues abusing his power. Later, the veteran is taken to the corrupt warden, who welcomes him personally, removes the handcuffs, and tells him that he read his war record. He was 12 years in the military, served 4 years in Iraq, and has a recognition medal. He is surprised by his record. However, he is now in his prison, and because of everything he has done, he will give him a different treatment, a special treatment so he can enjoy his stay. The next morning, the veteran has his first confrontation with one of the inmates named Wysek, a racist who tries to hit him simply for being Arab. The veteran dodges all his attacks, and at that moment, the gang led by Mazen ends up intervening. They threaten him with death, and Wysek decides to withdraw. Mazen introduces himself to the veteran and informs him that there is a gang war. They are divided by ethnic origin. To avoid being an easy victim, he will have to join a gang. The prison they are in is an extremely hostile environment. As they become aware of the situation, the head guard approaches to order them to separate. While completing his community service hours, Francis meets one of the most veteran inmates, a man who is in charge of running the library section. David asks him a couple of questions and tells him to organize the books in alphabetical order. As he heads to his cell, our protagonist is again provoked by other inmates, but Francis avoids confrontation by ignoring the abusers. The next morning, Francis is interrupted by the guards in his cell, who order him to come out for a supposed routine inspection. Checking his personal belongings, Rico finds a photo of Kelly, shows it to his partner Fox, and starts licking it in front of the inmate. The veteran tries to attack him, but the guards end up restraining him. They put him against the wall and Rico tears the photo. He orders Victor to remove the cuffs and stands in front of him to ask him to hit him. However, the inmate stays calm. Rico orders him to take off his shirt, and they start beating him while giving contradictory orders. Francis throws the shirt on the floor and Rico pulls out his baton to torture him. When the blow goes directly toward his head, Victor ends up stopping him, pointing out that it has been enough. While he is in the showers, one of the inmates named Hammer approaches to demand that he satisfy him with his mouth, to which the veteran takes him down with 2 moves. At that moment, the guards appear hitting him from behind. They take him to the warden and inform him of what happened. They throw him on the floor and Jack mentions that he must obey orders. Inside his prison, none of the inmates have rights unless he grants them personally. Francis states that all he wants is to serve his sentence. He does not want problems with anyone. With the little time he has been in prison, he has realized that the real criminals are the prison staff. Because of his comment, they start beating him with their batons uncontrollably, so Victor shouts at them to stop. If they keep hitting him, they will end up killing him. The warden mocks him by saying that the only thing he has to do is follow the rules. They order him to be taken away, and the guards take him to the bathrooms to torture him with a water hose. The next morning in the dining hall, the inmate Hammer threatens to kill him for having hit him. Williams orders him to step back and David makes a joke about Hammer. He asks him why he doesn't sit with the Arabs, to which the veteran responds that he doesn't want to be part of any gang. When the 18-year-old sits at the table, Francis receives another threat from Wysek. Later, the old man tells him about his past. 15 years ago, he and his brothers robbed an armored vehicle, injured 2 security guards, and killed a police officer. His brothers died in the shootout. He managed to escape with the loot, but in the end they caught him on board a plane. They gave him 3 life sentences. He hid the money in a place where they will never find it. He is the only one who knows the location. Later, our protagonist receives a visit from his girlfriend, to whom he decides to hide all the altercations he has been involved in inside the prison. He tells her that she does not need to worry about him, for now everything is in order. Kelly tells him that she misses him and Francis notices that she is not wearing the engagement ring, to which she responds that it is the first time she takes it off. In less than 2 minutes, the guards interrupt their visit, saying that the time is up. They ask Kelly to leave and order Francis to continue with his duties. During a card game with the Arabs, one of the members named Base starts accusing him of being a traitor for having killed his people in the war, mentioning that his brain is washed because of the Americans, whom he accuses of being the real murderers. And with a very forceful response, the veteran leaves him embarrassed, making him lose his temper and surprising the gang leader with his sharp answer. Upon going out to the yard, the young inmate is attacked by Hammer, who challenges him to a fight despite the age difference, and even after noticing what happened, the warden stays in his office doing nothing, and when Hammer is about to hit him with the dumbbell, the veteran steps in, taking the giant down for the 2nd time. Suddenly, one of the inmates approaches to hand Hammer a sharp weapon. Francis dodges his attacks, and the chief of the guards intervenes in the fight. The others approach and put shackles on the veteran, and Jade tells them that it wasn't his fault. He was simply helping him, and his superior orders his men to remove the shackles from the veteran and handcuff the young man instead. 1 month later, the veteran is attacked in the bathrooms by the racist, whom he overpowers with great ease, which raises doubts that are resolved when the guards and the warden show up without any reason. Jack tells him that he is tired of his troublesome behavior. Since he entered the prison, he hasn't stopped defying the rules. He is forcing him to reprimand him. He asks his men to hand him a baton and then pulls down his pants to insert it into his backside. They leave him lying on the floor and order him with shouting to keep cleaning. During recess, Victor appears restless and regretful for what happened, but Rico interrupts him, despising the inmates and reminding him that they are all ruthless murderers. If he doesn't want to take part in the torture, it's best that he keeps quiet. Victor points out that the punishments are going too far. If a similar situation happens again, he will report it to his superiors. He doesn't care if he loses his share of the money, and at that moment, the chief appears and everyone stays silent, since William is the only one who is not part of the bribes. A few minutes later, The corrupt guards inform Jack about Victor's intentions, and to prevent him from reporting anything to his superiors, the warden orders them to take care of him. They must do it immediately. Without wasting time, the guards come up with a plan. They head to the block and search the inmates' cells until they find a weapon. They order him to kneel and walk away, mentioning that they won't do anything to him. He will simply have to carry out his work hours in another area. While cleaning the bathrooms, the inmate notices Victor's body stabbed with the weapon the guards confiscated from him. They show up and accuse him of being responsible for the murder, and knowing that they set up a trap to frame him, the inmate insults them, adding that they are worse than them. Meanwhile, David asks him why he decided to help the young man in his fight, and Francis responds that they would have killed him. One day, while he was on guard duty in Iraq, a man appeared out of nowhere, pointed a weapon at him, and yelled at him to stop. It was very dark. He only heard his steps. He yelled several times, but he didn't stop, so he had to shoot. When he approached, he saw that it was a boy no older than 16. The bullet had gone through his head, but he was still alive. The only thing he repeated was that he was hungry. He was just roaming the area looking for some food. The old man mentions that he could have had explosives attached to his body, and Francis responds that this was not the case. He was just an innocent boy. The worst part is that they gave him a medal for bravery. War is not what many think. There is no honor, dignity, or respect, not even for the innocent. During a match between the inmates, the veteran asks him about the prisoners who run the prison, and David informs him that Mazen is one of the most influential. He earned his position through years in prison, gaining the loyalty of other Arab inmates and proving to be a strategic leader. He started trafficking substances, and he also has connections with influential people outside. Upon seeing Francis sitting next to David, Mazen approaches with his gang to tell him that he doesn't like his people hanging out with their enemies. It turns out the gang has a certain rivalry against the old man. He must choose his side wisely, otherwise he could face serious consequences. While taking a shower, David tells him that he has a daughter, but he hasn't seen her for 15 years. He has written several letters, but he doesn't even know if she reads them, and suddenly, Mazen's gang members burst into the showers to stab Wysek in the neck, and knowing that the gang might frame him, our protagonist decides to talk to the leader of the opposing gang, whom he informs about the murder, adding that he is not involved. He doesn't even belong to Mazen's gang. Hours later, Mazen summons the veteran to his cell. He tells him that his problem is solved, implying that he is now in debt, and Francis responds that he didn't want him killed. He appreciates that they are watching his back, but he never asked for protection. Angered by this, the gang member orders his lackeys to throw him to the ground. He puts his foot on his face and tells him that from now on he will obey his orders no matter what he has to do. Since he arrived at the prison, he has been helping him, however. He refuses to be part of the family. He will not tolerate objections. He will obey the orders without questioning them. Later, we see the warden questioning the guards' methods of punishing a prisoner. Fox mentions that Francis is a very tough guy. He is one of the few prisoners who manages to stay sane despite all the torture. For Jack, the punishments are too soft. They must use any method to break his mentality. If they apply enough pressure, sooner or later he will explode. Fox believes he is taking it personally, and the warden starts insulting him in every possible way. They must fulfill their assignment. It is the only thing they have to do. On the other hand, the young prisoner is working with Hammer's group when suddenly they set up an ambush to abuse him, taking him to a room far from the guards to prevent them from hearing his screams. Consumed by anguish, the young man approaches Mazen's gang looking for a weapon with which to carry out his revenge, and noticing this, Francis advises him not to do it. Killing someone will torment him for the rest of his life. Jade tells him that it wasn't a simple fight. They took him to a secluded room and did things to him against his will. When visiting her husband for the second time, the corrupt guards force her to undress for a supposed routine inspection, adding that these are the rules imposed by the warden. Inmates often use their relatives to smuggle weapons or illegal substances. Refusing to undress, Kelly mentions that she doesn't feel comfortable with them. She prefers to be inspected by a woman. Rico points out that they are the only ones on duty. If she doesn't want them to inspect her, she will have to wait until next month's visits, and in order to see her husband, Kelly ends up undressing in front of the guards, who force her to remove her bra, pointing out that it is one of the places where illicit substances are most often hidden. They then go looking for Francis to show him the recording of his wife naked, and as expected, the inmate ends up exploding against the guards, whom he threatens while they mock his situation. When talking to her, he scolds her for having undressed in front of the guards. Kelly tells him that she had been waiting for several weeks to visit him. If she refused to be inspected, she would lose the chance to see him, and despite this, the veteran continues attacking her verbally, accusing her of being unfaithful just because she forgot the engagement ring. On the verge of breaking into tears, Kelly decides to leave to avoid continuing the argument, but her husband stops her at the last moment, apologizing to her and confessing that prison is corrupting him. These days have been very hard for him, and accepting his apology, Kelly hugs him and tells him that she loves him. In the next scene, we see that Jade worked up the courage to attack Hammer off guard, managing to neutralize him after stabbing him in his private parts. And while he is in the yard, the corrupt guards take him to the workshop by Mazen's order, who informs him that he received a good offer from the warden. He would like to kill him, but the orders are to make him suffer, so he decided to kill someone he cares about. For the moment, he has two candidates. The first is his friend, the old man. The second is his wife, Kelly. Filled with rage, Francis prepares to attack him, and the guards end up stopping him. They try to injure him by stabbing a tool into his arm, but the veteran manages to break free. He starts beating them, and just when he is choking one of them, the chief of the guards appears and knocks him out with a strong blow to the head. He then confronts the warden, informing him that his men took Francis to the workshop to beat him up. The inmate defended himself and ended up neutralizing them. Jack says that he is just a criminal. It is very likely he was responsible for the incident. William tells him that it makes no sense. He only has a few weeks left to complete his sentence. Risking everything to beat up two guards is absurd. The warden tells him that he is tired of his questioning. He barged into his office without warning, and now he is blaming him for his employees' decisions. It seems he has forgotten his rank. The only thing he has to do is his job, not get involved in matters that don't concern him. With the intention of continuing to torture him, the warden decides to send him to solitary confinement, where during the first days, the veteran remains firm, exercising with his own body weight, something that angers the guards, who without any scruples treat him as if he were the worst criminal. After enduring hell for several days, Francis is released thanks to William, who offers his help by asking him about what happened. But Francis doesn't trust anyone. He believes William is just like his coworkers, so he lies to him saying that everything is fine. When crossing paths with his friend, he informs him of the threat, so he stays alert. Mazen's gang could attack him at any moment. He doesn't want anyone to die because of him, and while he is exercising, the young man sent by the gang approaches to confront him. But at the last moment, he regrets it and decides to walk away. An action for which Mazen ends up killing him in a gruesome way, pretending to understand him and attacking him with a sharp object repeatedly until killing him. When being informed about the young man's death, the veteran prepares to confront Mazen. Being backed by the rival gang, he reprimands him for killing a manipulable young man, whom he deceived with his sermon that they are all a family. He simply made him believe he was part of the gang, but the reality is that he was using him. They talk about traitors, and Mazen doesn't hesitate to kill someone who is part of his family if he considers they are useless to him. Tired of his words, Base tries to attack him off guard, but the veteran ends up neutralizing him with 3 forceful blows. The warden notices the altercation and orders his men not to intervene, having earned the respect of the rival gang. The inmates shout at Mazen to fight the veteran, something that leaves him paralyzed, looking around hoping one of his lackeys will defend him. Seeing that the inmates call him a coward, Mazen accepts the confrontation and tries to land the first blows, but Francis dodges all his attacks. Taking the lead with complete superiority, Mazen asks his men to defend him, but they push him so that he continues fighting. The veteran knocks him down again and puts him in a submission hold with which he begins to choke him, and upon seeing his friend, he makes a gesture for him to avoid staining his hands with blood, so Francis ends up letting him go, leaving him completely humiliated in front of his gang. While celebrating the victory, one of the inmates throws a blade. Mazen grabs it and tries to stab his rival off guard, but David turns around to take the blow, and in an unexpected moment, the leader of the rival gang approaches and ends up killing Mazen by stabbing him in the neck. As a consequence of the altercation, the warden manages to extend his sentence, accusing him of being one of the main responsible for the conflict. Francis yells that he is corrupt. Because of him, many innocent people died. They set up a trap for one of the inmates to frame him for Victor's death. Due to his decisions, a young innocent man ended up dying at the hands of a gang member. He was only 18 years old. The warden states that they were victims of war. None of those who died were innocent. No one in this prison is innocent. What he did to extend his sentence wasn't personal. He was paid a large sum to make his life a living hell. In a penitentiary system, the warden must be considered a god. They must worship him and honor him. He must trust his word. He will never be able to leave his prison. He will make sure to keep him locked up for the rest of his life. What he has endured so far is only the beginning of his suffering. His desire is to see him on his knees, begging for mercy while crying, and after saying this, Francis reveals that the conversation was being recorded. William and his men got the radio. The only thing they needed was to record his confession. Enraged by the deception, Jack yells at William to remove the shackles, but he responds forcefully, stating that from now on he is no longer part of the system. Having arrested all the corrupt ones, Francis visits his friend in the infirmary to say goodbye one last time. He thanks him for saving him, and the old man asks him to come closer to reveal the location of the robbery's loot. He must enjoy it in his name. The only condition is that he looks for his daughter and shares a portion of the money with her. Upon being released from prison, the chief of the guard says goodbye by shaking his hand with great respect. Then our protagonist reunites with his beloved, who welcomes him with kisses and hugs, and after this, we see the veteran handing a bag full of money to David's daughter, just as he had promised, and taking the opportunity, Francis advises her to visit her father. It would make his life happier. By the way he spoke of her, he can assure her that he misses her. In the last scene, we see William receiving the new inmates. Among them is the millionaire who paid the warden to torture our protagonist.